Hello, kids, squids, and all the other imaginary creatures. I'm Jem, X-Rank competitive Splatoon 2 player and creator of the How to Get Out of Ranked series of Splatoon 2 videos. In addition to the larger YouTube productions, we do a weekly show called Squid School on twitch.tv/Bravous Esports, where I've been teaching the game to some of my coworkers who were pretty new to the game when we first started about a year ago. Recently, we had an idea to do an on-stream VOD review where I watch footage of them playing and give them feedback. In just a second, we'll get to an edited cut of that coaching so you can see it for yourself. To my surprise, I got positive feedback on it instead of being told that it bored everyone to tears. So we're going to do more of it, and that's where you come in. If you'd like me to do an in-depth VOD review on one of your Splatoon games, here's what you can do. Join the Bravous Community Discord server, there's a link in the description, where you'll be able to find me. Send me a direct message introducing yourself, telling me you're interested in a VOD review, and giving me a little information about your goals with the game and how you think I can help you reach them. I'm not asking for like a full essay here. Don't write like you're applying for college or something. But for example, if you've been stuck in a rank for a while and you want to break out of it, or if there's something specific you want to focus on, that's great for me to know. If I choose you for the show, I'll let you know, and then you can send me the link or video file that we'll be able to take a look at on stream. The stream happens every Tuesday from 3 to 5 Mountain Standard Time, and while it would obviously be more helpful for you to be there on the call to be able to ask me questions while we do this, I'm also willing to just record all my thoughts and let you watch through the VOD later if that time doesn't work for you. Here's the footage from our first Squid School VOD review session. Hope you find it helpful, and see you again on Tuesday. We're actually doing something a little bit different today. We're going to be doing some VOD reviews. We'll do Mikey and Andre first here. What I'm going to have them do is just play, because there's no way for me to really spectate them playing as a team unless we were to get like 4 other people in here of comparable skill. It's just kind of not realistic to expect, I think, given that this is like the middle of a weekday. So I'm just going to have them 1v1, and I'll spend part of my time spectating one of them and part of my time spectating the other one. And from there, we'll go back into the Twitch VOD and stream that, have a little bit of streamception, and go over how things went.
So we're actually trying to take each other down now.
Are we playing like for objective too?
Yes, play the objective
Okay.
specifically.
Okay, cool.
Awesome. Dead even and splats at the end.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
6 and 6. Okay. So, camera control, right. So, we saw from right here, as soon as I get into Andre's point of view here. So he collects some clams, paints up his spawn, not bad. Now, right now, you can see, out of the corner of your eye in mid here, and y'all can see my cursor, right?
Yeah.
There's this, patch of purple ink. Well, the game's just started. If there's purple ink anywhere, the opponent has to be pretty nearby, right? So we know that Mikey's in mid. And so, knowing that he's in mid, like, going down here is not the worst idea, although if he does decide to try and push down, now you're at a height disadvantage. But you've got cover to play around, you can hide behind here, you can hide behind here. But as soon as you go down into trench here, you really don't have a lot of warning. If he were to show up, if he were to just drop down into trench on you, he could be looking down and seeing you, and you wouldn't, you can't see anything that's painted on the mid side of the map right here. You can't see that he might be approaching in that direction. One way you could account for this is by flicking the map open, and then you would see, okay, paint just went down on the edge here, I need to look up. But even then, he's going to see you before you see him. And I think, if I remember correctly, he does actually at some point drop down on you out of that position. Okay, now you've got a power clam.
Yeah.
So now you're very visible. Now, the reaction that Andre has here is excellent. So let me slow this down for just a second. So, okay, I need to skip forward a little bit. There, this is a little bit better. So he gets the power clam, and at this point, again, you haven't really looked at mid in the entire time that you've done a big circle all the way around it. So you don't know exactly where Mikey is, although this patch of paint here might give you a clue. that he's nearby. And now you notice he's dropping down on you. It looks like Mikey is overshooting here. Yeah, Mikey is shooting kind of behind Andre. What I noticed was that Andre is aiming very predictively. He's doing a lot of what we call pre-firing, which is like putting his cursor where he expects his opponent to be and then holding the trigger down. Whereas Mikey is doing a lot of more reactive aiming, where he's trying to put the cursor basically where he last perceived the opponent to be. And there are advantages to both. You need to be able to do both. But here I think Mikey's reactive aiming, he's not quite reading far enough ahead to where Andre's going to be. And so he's kind of like shooting where Andre recently was. Ideally, you want to err on the side of shooting in front of your opponent, because even if you miss them, then they're going to try and moving forward and just end up in your ink, and they're going to get stuck. And then if you just keep holding your aim there, they're stuck there, and now you're shooting them. So with Mikey aiming behind him here, Andre is able to just keep moving and dodge these shots. And by the time Mikey does actually have his aim, Andre does this sick 180 and just gets his shots on immediately. Like, that's actually insane. That was really good. Okay, so let's get back to normal speed here. So there's a little bit of movement optimization that you can be doing here. Like, Andre, you've painted this trail that's in front of you, but then you walked off the trail instead of swimming through the trail. There's also a little bit with the way that you paint a straight line in front of you that you can do slightly faster. Basically, you want to like aim high and then move your cursor down. And that way you're sure to get a pretty clean straight line that won't have bumps in it. And that's kind of the fastest way to do it, you know, in the fewest shots. But generally, the idea is sound here. I think popping the bomb rush there is a bit premature. I don't know. Mikey has a bomb coming out here already. It's just like, those bombs didn't really get in Mikey's way. It's better to pop that when there are squids alive to get exploded by them. Or when they're around to get pushed back. Like, one thing you could have done is thrown that ball in, gone back to get some clams, and then used the bombs to push in to throw in the other clams. And that might have gotten you a slightly bigger push. But it's 1v1 clam blitz. It's very hard to get any follow-up whatsoever on your own push. So I don't blame you for missing this. You probably could have gotten up there a little bit faster with faster movement, but it's, again, something that you're going to be working on over time, and that's not the biggest issue. You scored, and that is plenty in a 1v1. Okay, so now you're collecting more clams. The power clam goes up, and I like how your camera kind of, you're now keeping that power clam on the camera constantly. I also like what Mikey did there. Having a power clam going into an engagement means your opponent knows exactly where you are the entire time. So Mikey was like, I don't want this power clam to be on me. I want to throw it so that way it's in one place. And I mean, they know I'm somewhere nearby, but they don't know exactly where I am. And you came at him from an off angle that I wasn't expecting. You know, I see the power clam over here. I'm like, oh, he's probably in left lockers. And then you came up over bunker. So that was a really cool kind of misdirection there. You do get the splat, but I believe you take a little bit too long to go and pick the clam back up.
Yep.
And so you don't end up being able to save it. And again, that's another little movement thing. Like, it might actually be a good idea to like have races or something as a drill if you're newer to the game and you just want to like figure out how to get places faster. So this is one of the disadvantages of Andre not paying attention to mid, but Mikey accidentally falls off. And so now he does actually have to push in the direction that Andre is defending. So it worked out being fairly even. And what Andre does here is really, really good. This is more of that pre-firing. So one of the things that the Neo Splash, one of the things that's unique about the Neo Splash, learning it as a shooter, as opposed to something like the K-Shot or the K-Pro or, you know, the weapons that I play more, is that you have a burst bomb, and burst bombs are longer range than your main weapon. So you throw the burst bomb out before they're in range to shoot them with the main weapon, and you have fewer shots that you have to hit with the main weapon. And that's exactly what Andre does here. So he sees Mikey coming, he chucks the burst bomb, gets a nice direct hit, so that means that it's done 60 damage. You only need 2 shots to take him down. And then I'll slow it down here to show that he's pre-firing. He's actually aiming where he knows Mikey has to go, and then Mikey advances into those shots. So like, this is how you cover an angle, basically. Like in like Valorant or something, you'd just be like sitting around a corner with your cursor trained exactly on that one spot for like frickin' 2 minutes waiting for some dude. Same concept here, just a lot quicker and a lot more flexible. Like, if Mikey had gone around the cover in this direction, then Andre would have wanted to shift to get his pre-firing on this side, but like, same concept. And since Mikey's, you know, advancing with a HP disadvantage, and also before he's got his aim on, Andre gets this without getting touched. So, Andre shouldn't have been able to get that fight in the first place, because Mikey should have just been able to score over the bridge.
Whoops.
But once the fight went that way, Andre had a really good response to it. Oops. My bad. All right, there we go. So now Andre gets himself Clam. Let's see what he decides to do with it. He should be able to see where Mikey is at this point. Yes, he does. And I like what he does with the bomb rush here. He makes it so that Mikey can't retreat. And, you know, normally you actually want to use a bomb rush against a short-range weapon like Mikey has to zone them away from you, so they have to stay out of range. But in this case, since there's a bridge that Mikey has to get across, he can't really advance quickly or unpredictably. So as soon as Andre throws a bomb, like, directly in front of himself, like right the 4th bomb he threw, this one probably should have been, like, the 2nd bomb you threw to keep yourself safe. But, like, Mikey kind of just had to get out of there. And, well, if Mikey's getting out of there, Andre's just going to kind of go across. Now, what Mikey could have done there is he could have been, like, right underneath the bridge and just shot up at Andre through the bridge. But I'm sure he was worried about other bombs and some other stuff. So, in general, that's not a bad idea. Now, Andre, you gotta make sure you're in range, and part of that is just like knowing the stage, because sometimes you really don't have time to line it up and know where the reticle is going to make contact with the goal. But in that case, you definitely did have enough time to just line it up and make sure, you know, hold the A button a little longer.
Yeah.
It's in more of a team context where you're like, I probably need to throw this pretty quick. Do manage to save it, and I don't think Mikey counted on that being possible. So he's able to find another clam, get that other clam in. So that's nice. When you're spawning, you definitely want to be getting all of the clams away from your base, because if there are clams left by your base, well, when they're scoring, that's where they're going to be looking for clams. And so that little one that Andre found there, you know, that's an extra 3 points that Mikey could have prevented just by picking that clam up in the first place. So here come the missiles, and so Andre's definitely going to be forced away from the basket. And another thing about the missiles is that Mikey will know exactly where Andre is. So I'm kind of expecting that Mikey shows up on Plat on the upper left here to try and intercept him. Andre drops back into mid, so we can't really see where Mikey went after that. Okay, there, he's got a power clam now. He tosses it down, and it was at this point that I switched to Mikey, because it's like halfway through the game, you know? So let's see what Mikey's up to here. So Mikey's tracking Andre down. He doesn't have clams, so that tells me he's trying to splat Andre before he does anything else. Now, the trick here is that, and this is hard to do in 1v1 clam blitz. Like, in a team context, you would probably have like a backliner positioned here or here to deal with this kind of thing. But in a 1v1, you got to recognize, if I'm not in between him and the basket, and he's got a power clam and I don't, this is no bueno.
It's free.
So you kind of got to run him down at this point. And I think he gets this one in. And the other issue now is that you're pushing uphill. In that situation, in a 4-player match, it's often the better idea to just jump back to spawn. Because on this particular map, you know, if you're at the basket and your opponent isn't, they've got the height advantage. Actually, he just kind of shows up here behind you, and you're able to turn it around and get the height advantage on him. If Andre had just stood at the top of this hill and shot down at you, that probably would have been a better choice, because it puts you at a range disadvantage. But good reaction on Mikey's part there. Like the oh, whoops, I went too far. So like the turnaround here, so you don't turn straight to him, but once you've got him in your camera, your cursor goes straight to him. On higher sensitivity especially, and once you start getting better at the game, you start working on being able to go from not even seeing him at all to being able to turn and snap straight to him and just stop your cursor as soon as it's over him. And that's the sort of thing that I always do when I'm warming up at the beginning of a session. All right, so good pick there. So now Mikey needs to try and kind of capitalize. He can't really, take too much of a paint advantage because he's just painting 1v1 against a weapon that paints better than he does. I like the use of the missiles so that he can see his opponent going in, and I like that he's dropping down with the range advantage here. And that's a good fight there. Andre didn't have his aim on, and you recognized it, so you moved in and played more aggressively, capitalized on it, got your first points in. So from here, you don't have any clams. Splatting him is probably going to take long enough that you won't be able to collect more clams.
Yeah.
So I would not, in a team context, it's not the worst idea to just stay here and try and splat them as they come in and like hope that your teammates bring in more clams. But especially in the 1v1 situation or in a situation where a lot of your teammates have gone down, it's better to be looking for more clams to just try and build more on this advantage. Oh, that was such a darn. You were so close to winning that fight too.
Yeah, seriously.
Like you got your first 2 shots, and then let me slow it down so we can see what happens after that. So you're on there. You actually miss a couple shots in between, but now it looks like, okay, yeah, Andre moves a little bit and you don't correct from like left to right here, and then you overcorrect to the right. So just a little bit of unsteadiness. And lowering your sensitivity will help with that sort of thing, but again, it also hurts with snapping as quickly. So that's something that I usually find it's best to, start off with a high, but like not all the way up sensitivity, and then slowly work your way up so that once your aim is steady at one level, great pick right there. Andre is, trying to push that direction in vision at a height disadvantage. He's also, basically putting himself in front of cover so that it's easier for Mikey to hit him than it is for Andre to hit Mikey. That's just a good hold on Mikey's position there. And Mikey might be able to get another one in here. He's checking to make sure that Andre's not there, and then he sees Andre, and Andre has more time to get his aim on with this throw. So honestly, even in a team context, that's not bad. That's just like you're at an inherent disadvantage whenever you try to go score. So a lot of the time, the clam holder just gets splatted right away. But a lot of the time, just getting the basket open if your team is in position is enough. And Andre doing a good job using the bombs to zone Mikey out so he can't safely defend. And once he gets the clam in, Mikey is able to punish. So good play on both sides there, I think. So Mikey knows he needs to get in, so he's going to push this. Recognizes that Andre's got a range advantage, so he backs up there. So good job recognizing the height advantage and not pushing that fight further. Now from here, what I was thinking was, why not push up in this direction on the left side of the wall? Because if Andre is going to defend that, he's got to expose himself up here. And so you literally just need to be training your aim on that one spot. Maybe even pre-firing it if you think you're pretty sure he's going to show up there. And you're definitely going to score if he tries to go around the backside. So that's the only thing you need to worry about. You might have been able to score going in that way. Because here, he's got the winning fight. So that would be the only thing I would say. And then the way that overtime works in Clan Blitz is that the losing team needs to have a pity clan, which Mikey does. And you only have 20 seconds from when overtime triggers to get that in. You've already been down for maybe 3 seconds by the time you even respawn and are actionable here. So it's like, I hate that the timer is so short. It used to be longer. You basically need to be picking this up running straight at Andre to splat him, or if Andre backs up, running straight to the basket to try and score. It's not a winning position for sure. The fact that you drop down here takes you too far away from your power clam to be able to get it to the basket. I guess you probably could have made something in mid, but even that would probably take too much time. So at this point, it's probably already a one match for Andre, and even if he makes that in, that's going to be game over. Or even if though he doesn't make that in, that's game over. So did we want to get something in for Simon there? Simon, do you want to go through that, or should we just get back to games?
Sure. I'm down for it if you want.
Well, we'll just say winner stays. We'll put you in against Andre here.
All right.
Oh,
all
okay.
right. GG's.
That was close, yeah.
That's a tough matchup. The K-Pro, at least in combat, versus the Neo Splash, because it has longer range and it splats. I think it splats faster because you only need the 2 or 3 shots.
Oh, it definitely does, yeah.
I'd have to look at the math on that because I think the 3 shot might be slower. But the fact that you need 4 shots as well is going to cause problems. So, all right. Okay, so Simon starts out. Simon knows where Andre is. Simon just saw him on the map, and you can tell he knows where Andre is because he's immediately, you know, keeping his camera focused on this area, and he's taking a position from which he can aggress it. This spot is pretty nice because he's safe from Andre going across the bridge from this wall, and if Andre comes up here, he's going to see it, but he's also able to kind of paint his way forward so that if he needs to, he's got a chance. He just saw Andre up here through the glass, so he's responding to that. I like the bomb right there, forces Andre to go away. He can't take the bridge because the bomb's in his way, and this gives Simon time to position in a place where he can take advantage of his range. So he's kind of firing over, trying to harass, not really hitting any shots, but also kind of keeping Andre back. And something I was saying here is that the advantage that Andre's going to have is paint. The K-Pro is going to run out of ink faster and not going to paint as much as the Neo Splash is. And so, you know, there were a couple of times here where I could see, okay, Simon's a little bit low on ink right now. Maybe Andre can come in and capitalize, and a couple of times he did. Okay, so Bomb Rush comes out. Simon's just going to back up. He's not extremely threatened by this. I think if you want to threaten someone with the Bomb Rush, then the bombs need to be going behind them. Otherwise, you're just keeping them out. And, you know, Simon not hurting too much for being kept out. He sees the little trail of clams back here, and so he turns his attention to this direction, knows where Andre is. So Andre's in trench. Advancing here is a little bit scary because Simon can't see Andre over the ledge right now, at least the way that his camera's oriented. So if Andre pops up, all of a sudden Andre that doesn't have that range disadvantage anymore, and so that fight might go in Andre's favor here. Now he knows Andre's behind him. He saw the power clam pop up and he sees the shots fired. And what Simon does here is he tries to run away. Now, the reason I don't like this is that Andre's already hitting him. I think, you know, if Andre's out of range, then yeah, running away to keep him out of range is fine. But if Andre's hitting you right now, you know, if he hits both of those burst bombs, you're down before you've even returned fire. So I think at the point where your opponent is in range and, you know, you are also in range because you have the longer range weapon, you need to be turning to try and return fire at him. But you do a good job here of getting that turn. You've got your aim on pretty quickly, and Andre does not. He hit a couple of those burst bombs, so, you know, all he needed was a couple shots, but Simon has a good turn once he does actually decide to turn and take the fight. I think if he turns and takes that fight earlier, he's in better shape and has less of a chance of dying, especially against better players. Here, too. Against a player with better accuracy, Simon is going down before he gets off this ledge. So that's something to keep in mind going forward. But as it is, Simon's able to get away. And now he turns, and he just throws a bomb. That bomb probably actually went past Andre if Andre is trying to chase you. So you probably want to be putting that actually closer to yourself so that, like... because you don't want to be forcing Andre close to you in that position. You want to be forcing him away from you. Unless you were planning on turning on him, except you went down... You were at a height disadvantage, so probably just wanted that closer to you to prevent him from moving towards you again. Okay, so now you see where Andre is. You've just seen him on the right side. It's a bomb. Good couple of shots there. You almost had him. That definitely could have been a fight win there. Now you know he's somewhere on the left. Get the pick. Let me back up for a second. It seems like Andre kind of just didn't really use cover there. Simon's got the range advantage, so unless you're coming up from like right here where range doesn't matter anymore. Yeah, so like if you had kind of come up closer to the bunker here and rushed him in this direction, that might have been good. But as it is, he was able to just kind of engage knowing what you were about to... Yeah, I think that's kind of predictive because Andre's in range there. Andre's just not ready for Simon to show up. Simon's kind of peeking him before Andre's ready to react to it. So I think here's where Andre isn't really aiming predictively, and that's probably why that fight didn't go quite as well. Part of it is probably also he's working on painting his feet instead of aiming. But you can kind of do both in a lot of situations. So that's what I'm thinking there. So Simon gets a score in. I don't know. Yeah, if you go for these clams, you're definitely not going to be able to make it back up in time. And at this point, Andre just realizes, okay, well, my basket is safe because he dropped over there, so I'm just going to go score. And Simon did not recognize that before Andre was already well past him. Of course, it's good to recognize that sort of thing in a team context, but it's a lot less likely to happen exactly that way in a team context. It's likely to be a lot more nuanced in a team context that, like, okay, yeah, there's one of them guarding the basket still, but it's a 3v1. We can totally rush this. That's the kind of decision you end up wanting to make. And so now Andre's looking for more clams to get in, and a couple that were left at Simon's side. He actually had the clan that would have got him the lead, but Simon's able to catch him in time, so very close there. I like how Simon's sitting on 9. He's not getting that last one. Now he gets that last one. Unfortunately, he notices, shoot, okay, Andre's in the way now. But he rotates over here, and I like what Simon does here. This whole fight was really well played by him, so I'm going to slow it down for a second. So, Simon's recognizing here, if I just go over the bridge and don't pay any attention, Andre can get under me and shoot up at me. But when he turns the camera here, he now knows, okay, Andre's not in position to take those shots. Andre has to be about here to be able to hit up through the grates. So Simon knows, okay, he's too far away, so I can actually kind of fight him a little bit here. He shoots where Andre was, and then Andre takes the wall, and so now Simon knows he has to move out to get this angle on him. And Andre can't return fire from here. Like, if you let go of the wall and, like, snap up to Simon, I think you don't have range as you start falling, and that's a much harder shot to make than Simon has. So Andre kind of needs to either, like, move to the left on the wall to get out of Simon's range, or just get up over as fast as he possibly can. He takes one shot there, and so at this point, what you need to be doing is, no, I am at a health disadvantage. I need to heal. You heal by sitting in your own color ink in squid form. So since Simon can't hit you right now, what you probably didn't do, and what you should think to do every opportunity you get, is I'm at a disadvantage in this fight, so I'm going to sit in my own color ink. If he wants to advance, sure, that's his prerogative. I can move backwards in my own color ink, but I need to take this fight at a health advantage, if that's what I'm going to do. And from here, Andre's not in range yet, Simon is, and so Simon is right to try and force this fight. He does a nice little jump there that throws Andre's aim off. I talk about that in the B rank video, where you want to change their line of fire, because you'll be able to adjust to the movement you make, this little hop that he makes, before they're going to be able to adjust to the hop you make, because you know you're going to make that hop, and you're already planning for your aim to change. And so Simon does a really good job winning that one. I like that 1v1 from him. He's just... To summarize, he's keeping Andre in his sights. He's not pushing the objective rashly, you know, before he knows it's safe. And he's engaging only when he knows that he's got some kind of advantage. Usually a range advantage in his case. So he gets a score in, and I think he's just going to come up here and booyah. So one issue with this booyah is that you've got something right in front of you. If you booyah bomb and there's something there, that severely limits the angles you're able to throw the Booyah Bomb at. If Andre were to back up in this direction, you have no way of possibly hitting him with this, or even threatening him. So you actually probably want to trigger this further away from the clam basket. Another issue with it is that this blue thing is blocking your view. I don't know if that was the way it was on your screen, but now you can't even see Andre. You want to tilt your controller down a little bit so that this doesn't stay in your way, because at this point, between the Booyah Bomb and the basket, you actually don't know where Andre is. He could be right next to you over here. He could have dropped it down onto plat already. And at this point, it's like, okay, where is he? Where is he? Where is he? He could have been sharking anywhere there and popped out and got you. So it's another camera control thing, basically. So here, you see something. I wonder if you're checking your map at this point, because I'm not scoping this out myself. Maybe you're just assuming he's probably at your base somewhere. Maybe you recognize this paint here and you think he's over there.
I saw the paint over there, and I had saw him go over the ramp last time he got past me. So
Okay,
my
so this
thought
is just
process
predictive.
was, yeah, it was immediately I don't lose anything if I jump back anyway, so I might as well.
Because I'm like, I don't see anything myself that would trigger me to jump. I think, in a team context, not a bad idea necessarily. Here, I feel like you probably could have just run back. Because I think he gets the clam. Yeah, so he gets into mid and he gets the clam. And he's actually able to score that just before you can defend. So yeah, like, the thing is, so going back to what you could see right here, it's subtle, but you see how there's yellow paint right here on your ramp? If he was here, that wouldn't be there, or alternatively, if he was here, he would be like right about here, about to paint it, right?
Yeah, if you played a little bit longer, I only saw purple. I didn't see yellow anymore, and I painted that specifically before. Like when I went to defend my basket, I painted that path specifically to tell, and so I only saw the big massive purple, and I was like, oh, I'm in danger.
Mm-hmm. I think it's that little bit of yellow right there, or that little bit of that little bit of yellow that gives away to me. Okay, he hasn't gotten here yet, because he had to have painted at least some of this to be able to push up onto this ramp. And so either he's still right here, and he's not there because there's not currently paint going down in this direction, or I can probably just run straight to mid and, beeline to my basket and get there before he does. Because I think right now he's actually right down here someplace, if I'm not mistaken.
I was somewhere where I did see him jump away, so I was in mid around that area.
So, oh yeah, actually you're over here on the right-hand side. That's where it is, because you come up from this way. Yeah, and there he is. So this is the sort of thing that, like, as a very experienced player, you just start to figure out intuitively. Like, a lot of this just gets drilled into you from, force of habit for looking for stuff like that, but that's what's going through my mind that is helping me figure out where people are. And that's another one of the reasons that paint is so important. It's, it's not just movement, it's not just map control, it's all of those things, but it's also vision. Don't forget to ward, kids. That's a League of Legends thing. All right. So now Simon is in position. I love that bomb right there. That tells Andre, nope, you shall not pass. And that gives Simon all the time that he needs to get up onto snipe, so where he can view things a little bit more easily. And he can also just drop down and do this if Andre pushes in without really having an advantage. The burst bomb there actually probably hurt you, because there's recovery time on the end of a burst bomb. And so if you're taking an engagement right as soon as your opponent is in range of you, you actually just want to be firing your main weapon, because it'll be faster to get your 4 shots with the main weapon than to hit the burst bomb combo. Here, I totally understand, like, you're like, oh shoot, he came out of nowhere, that it takes you by surprise sometimes. The more you get used to the weapon, though, only be using the burst bomb in situations where you think you're not in range to hit with your main weapon.
Okay.
Simon gets a bunch of clams, doesn't have all the clams he needs, and you can see he's having to take a lot more time to paint to get onto Andre's plat here. I don't know why you didn't pick up the remaining 2, because Andre hadn't been threatening yet, and I figure you could probably get a clam in, but okay, maybe you were anticipating that he was coming from there, or maybe you saw something I didn't.
Oh no, I just figured I was taking too long.
Yep, that's a pretty good reflex to have, honestly. You should probably know at this point you're going to have to win a fight before you get into the basket, so... And having a power clam on their plat there, probably not the safest thing. I think against a stronger opponent in that position, you know, if you're on their plat like that, you're already pretty hard committed, so you might as well go for it. Or like you should probably expect that they're going to collapse on you in a way you're not going to be able to get away from. Pushing around this blind corner, this is a trap that a lot of rollers love to set. Because rollers are really short range, right? They need to get it right up next to you to splat you. So what they'll do is they'll run around a corner and make you think, oh, I need to chase this guy or he'll get away. And then he just pops up right next to you. Haha, you're in range now. Get wrecked.
Yeah, I probably could have benefited there from understanding where clams spawn a little more, because I thought there might be a clam somewhere over there that he could grab.
So you see all of the clams that he's got there, and you're like,
and I'm
crap,
like,
I'm
like, yeah, if he gets like one more clam, I'm screwed. So I thought there might be a clam around the corner, but
that didn't even occur to me as part of the thought process. But yeah, there aren't any clams there, so you're
I
safe
realized
just holding
after
your
I was
angle.
like, yeah, I realized after I should pay more attention to where clams spawn.
Yeah, and then that also is something that like just occurs to me automatically, but I'm glad that we discussed that because that's something that will also influence your decision making. Nice pick. Just max range. Nothing Andre can do if he tries to push that. And Andre needs to push that because that was his chance. He's got the basket open. Overtime's about to go up, and this is going to be game over.
Yeah, because there were like, I think 3 clams that were back over there that I picked up, and if I got those in, it would have turned it all around.
Good stuff. All right. Okay. GG's, guys. That's going to be it for the stream. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We do this every Tuesday from 3 to 5 Mountain Time. Like I mentioned, we might start doing more kind of VOD review type stuff. We seem to have a good time doing that today.
Yeah.
So if you guys... viewers have any videos that you would like us to go over on those VOD reviews, you know, it doesn't have to be me talking about our coaches. It could be me talking about you guys. It could be me talking about my own games. It could be me talking about my teammates, you know. I can take requests, is what I'm saying. But if you want to do something like that, just come on down to the stream and, you know, drop us a link through Discord or something and let us know. So,
I expect to see a VOD review on how to properly initiate a squid party.
There you go. There you go. That is, there is an art to that for sure. So that's something we'll go into.
We'll discuss it next week, folks.
Absolutely.